Hello, welcome to my website again, and I'm sitting here in the middle of the semi-desert in a beautiful coffee shop in South Africa, and it is coming up to 40 degrees, so it's a good morning from us here, and I'm so glad that you could join me. I'd like to put forward to you my research findings and my findings as an energy practitioner and as an academic woman on dementia. And I'm very sorry if you have someone suffering from dementia in your life, because it is full of challenges for all those involved. Now, dementia is, for me, a frequency, and I feel that and I know that because when I deal with people, when I meet people and when I treat people with dementia, I am very aware of their longing to be back on the earth, as it were, but I feel them as vibrating very, very fast. Now, this high frequency energy is coming into the planet at the moment. I'm erring because it's largely coming in from above, but it's also in the earth. It's also, if you like, waking up in the earth, and I meet it particularly in this area of South Africa, which is the semi-desert, is the little Karoo, won't say where, but inland from Cape Town, where there is virtually a ring of mountains around the village. And I love it here, and I've been coming through 18 years, and when I'm here, I am very grateful that I feel very, very well and very, very grounded. Now, what I find with people, we'll start with the very elderly suffering from dementia. What I find with the very elderly suffering from dementia is that they are vibrating at such a high frequency that is also, it's not grounded. It is, unfortunately, an energy at ground level of fragmentation and of fear. Now, the difficulty for the dementia sufferer is that they are quite trapped in this high frequency, which is occurring because of the panic that they feel. We'll talk lastly about how they got to this stage, and this is my point of view, please remember, from lots of experience and hopefully a long education. I feel their high energy, and it is of someone who has run away from their body, run away from their third dimensional reality into what they hoped would be safety. And in some people it is safety because they go into a childish, childlike state, and I've seen people be very happy, but I fear that that's not the greatest number of dementia sufferers. Now, when someone is in this state of running away, they feel fearful, and the fear creates enormous flux in the body. Now, many of you will know of and will have read the marvellous work of Bruce Lipton, which came out in 1995. And in it, he reminded us all, in case we'd forgotten, that our cells have an enormously wonderful intelligence, and each cell knows what the other cell is doing throughout the body. That group intelligence is so wonderfully present here in Africa, in other places of course, but here where you see the most wonderful signs of swarms of birds, swarms of bees, whole group intelligences moving as one. Now, when dementia, the state of dementia arrives in the body, the individual is often racked with panic, and the cells in the body do not like this, and they come together and they register this fear. And this fear is incremental, unfortunately. I can feel it when I treat people. This fear is incremental in the body because the cells remember and that memory causes a great deal of can cause a great deal of difficulty, and that's generally speaking. Now, since the dementia sufferer is already in a very high frequency, they have to bear a sort of double effect, treble effect of this fear, because the cells in a high frequency energy body do not like the fear. Many people who are practicing at the moment and who are pioneers in consciousness experience and or live in a high frequency, and there has to be a moment when the body recognises, and you know, love your body, there has to be a moment when the body recognises that things are changing, and we've spoken before and I've written before about how the body is evolving at the moment. Now, in this evolution of the body, the brain is changing all the time. So when the high-frequency dementia sufferer goes into panic, the cells go into panic also, and that creates havoc within the energy field of high frequency which that person is suffering or experiencing. Now, the effect for the sufferer is that they then feel more separation, and that separation can increase and increase and increase, and does increase, unfortunately, because the fear can be so great. Now, one of the great difficulties for the older generation is that many of these darling people were brought up in wartime. I'm a European, so I can't speak for all countries, but in Europe, the then teenagers and the then young people suffered enormous amounts of loss at a time when they should have been experiencing the joy of their life, generally speaking. So for the women, and I'm thinking here of the women of England at the moment, the British Isles, the women had to do men's jobs. They lost brothers, lovers, uncles, excuse my emotion, lots and lots of loss. Now that loss was put into the cells. The cells are very clever. Lipton says this again and again. The cells are clever, they remember, they stash it away. Now, as a little by the way, when I work on arthritic patients, people, the arthritis is stored negative energy, and the same is true of any stored negative energy, and particularly something like arthritis. The body gets to a sort of tip-over point, and this is what happens with food intolerances. The body knows that it doesn't like something, and in the first instance, I know, the body just ignores it for a while. And remember, the body is a composite. It's not only made of all of its energy fields, and mindfully the energy field of each separate organ as well as the whole body, but it's made of, mental energy fields and social energy fields and a collective energy field. It's very complicated. But at this moment, when the body can't stand any more of the negative, it starts to shout. And when things go wrong, arthritis, anything, intolerance, food intolerances, actually the start of any illness in the body, the cells are clapping their hands and saying, stop, I am going to stop you. The body really is saying, sweethearts, the body is saying, I am going to stop you. And regrettably and lamentably, this is when, it's gone quite a long way. This sort of I'm going to stop you is often when cancer is found in the body. Now, and it is possible for cancers to go in the body. I have treated people and they have gone. The cancers have gone. Now, the difficulty with the dementia sufferer is, for the elderly generation, that older generation, the very older generation, is that they've suffered all this loss in their youth. They've also, generally speaking and possibly speaking, I'm not being personal, they have had to put away many hopes and dreams, and they've seen many hopes and dreams fall in the loss of their loved ones. They have made do and mended. they've had to make do and they've had to mend. And when I was a girl at school, many of my teachers, people who taught me, the women who taught me, had lost fiancés and they never married again. So this was a difficult time. Now, for some people, the only way to survive this has been to put in a massive complex of control. Now, the high frequency energy does not like control. Why? Because it's something, high frequency is, lives with sages and people who before have been wonderful on this planet in bringing in marvellous philosophies of love and activity of love. So it's quite tricky to have a body that has control in it, that has fear in it, and that has negativity in it. And these are the bases of dementia.